You just bought a used drum, despite the fact that you have too many drums already, but you got a good deal and you just got it home. And now what do? We're going to inspect it. We're going to clean it up and we're going to look for any potential issues. And I'll talk about what to do, how to do it. Welcome back. This is World Drum Club. I'm Kalani. I got some things out here, but let's look at what we have first. So this is a boogaroo. It's a sort of like a djembe, kind of a cross between a djembe and a conga, but it's its own thing, and I didn't have one. And this guy was moving, and he gave me a good deal, so I bought it. I'm gonna play with one hand. Sounds like this. And it's kind of small, relatively small. It's not a huge drum. And you can see somebody was naughty. And I think they put some drinks on top of here. Never do that, you guys. It's got this weird spot right here. So we're gonna look at this and we're gonna see if we can fix some stuff. I checked the inside. The first thing you wanna do with a wood drum is, I'm gonna zoom in a little. You wanna check the shell, and you might see little hairline cracks like you see right there. And right here. My advice is don't freak out if you see that. It's fairly normal on a drum that I'm assuming is older, and it's a hardwood. It's a heavy wood. The thing I like about this drum is it's all heartwood. And how do we know that? It's one color. It's this dark color. It doesn't have dark brown and gold. If it has a mixture of colors, then it's heartwood plus whatever the other wood is, and that's okay. But I like the hardwood or heartwood. You're going to want to check the inside as best as you can. So I'll look around here, on the bottom, because this is a common place for cracking. And you can see right here, there's a little bit of a crack right there. So that's something that can be addressed later. Right now, we're just going to kind of do a basic cleanup, but you can look inside. You can see this is a hand-carved drum, purely hand-carved. You'll also notice there's a knot right there, and those tend to be areas, that can end up cracking or breaking through. It looks good on the outside. And you can see this is the feature of the boogaroo. You just have a foot, and then it has this section on the bottom, and then there's carving, which is awesome. This is looks like a woman actually pounding with a mortar here. If you can see, that's her head, and these are her arms, and she's using this mortar to pound grain, I assume, and that's really cool. That's how a lot of these drums got their start. And then over here, it looks like there's a tree, like a big tree here. A little bit of paint on here, which we're going to try to get off. And then over here it looks like a person. Here's his hat and a face, and he's doing something here. I can't really tell what he's doing. But that's it. Maybe he's helping. I don't know. And as you can see, this is a rope-tuned drum. It's got the bottom ring, and it's got what we call the molly weave or djembe style tuning. You want to look at the rings. It looks like this drum has been roped up for a long time. This might be the original head. It looks to be a thick goat skin, maybe cow. I don't. Usually boogaroos have thicker heads. Let me see. You see right there. So that's kind of a thick head. It could be goat, but I don't know. And then the other thing I'm seeing is things like this. Now, I don't know what this cord is for. I don't think it's doing anything. It might just be something that they put in maybe as a loop for a handle or something, but it's not doing anything right now. And then it's got this loop at the bottom, which might be for hanging the boogaroo on a stand. A lot of times these are suspended on a stand, and the player might play 2 or 3 of them. Not sure. I'm just going to leave that. And then we have our tuning rope down here, and it has a knot in the end. I'm going to address that and change this to something else. So let's get started. So what do we want to do? I want to do two things that have to do with sort of conditioning the head and the shell. And so what I'm going to do on the head is I want to try to clean this up a little. The head's pretty haggard, but it's okay. It sounds okay. That's a one-handed playing on top of a table. But I want to see if I can just clean this up a little and maybe condition it. So I've just got some lotion. You can use any kind of lotion. This is just like hand lotion. I'm going to put some on here and let it sit. And while that's sitting, I'm going to hit the inside and maybe some of the outside with lemon oil and try to let it get down into some of these cracks that we saw earlier, like over here. The lemon oil won't really hurt the ropes, although you don't want tons of it on the ropes, but you can, if you have lemon oil, you can literally spray it onto the drum, or you can, I'm just going to use this cloth to kind of dab it all over and get it on the inside too a little bit. Maybe I can reach up in there and yeah, I can reach up in there and like put some oil on the inside, but definitely down here on the inside here. So we're going to put some oil, and then I'm going to go ahead and undo some of these knots if I can, and then I'm going to burn the ends of these ropes because it's just more tidy. You don't have to have a knot, and it's going to be hard to tune. If I want to crank it up, it's going to be hard to tune with this knot in here. So I want to get rid of that. And then maybe, you know, I'll just like clean these up, maybe burn that a little bit there just to clean that up. And then maybe I will try to rub this paint off. I have one of these sponges. It's just an old scrubby sponge. And I have a little bit of Simple Green, which is a biodegradable cleaner. It's pretty gentle, but it might work on that. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'll clean up the shell, and then we'll put lotion on the head. We'll put some lemon oil on it, and then I'll check back with you in a little bit when all that's done. Okay, you guys, I was getting ready to make the final video and show you all the progress, and I noticed this. So this gives me a chance to show you another thing that you can do, which is to fix little pieces that break off. Now this just broke off. It was outside. I think I set it down, you know, on the bricks, and there was a little spot. You see that there where it's like kind of moldy? So that was weak already. And what I'm going to do in this case, because I have the piece and it'll pretty much go right back in there like that, right? Is I'm going to there it goes. I'm going to super glue it. So I have this glue. This is called CA glue. It's basically super glue. And this I use for different things. You can use it on drums. You could use epoxy, but if it's just one piece down here, this should work fine. If it doesn't, I'll figure out something else. It's old, and so the top is all crusty. So I got to break this open, but I'm just going to probably put some on a swab and just get this set and stick the piece on there, and that'll be that. And then I'll show you the rest of the drum once that's done. And we're back. Here's the glued piece. And then I filled a little bit here with glue, and then I went ahead and got in a crack over here. This is the one that I originally showed you guys, this crack over here, and I sort of filled it in. And here's a tip. If you guys want to use super glue and you want to dry it quickly, like I just did this 2 minutes ago and it's dry, you can get some of this stuff. I mean, there's a lot in here, but this is called Mitra Apel, I guess. You spray this on, it smells disgusting and very toxic, so do this outside. But this stuff will dry the super glue instantly. All right, it'll harden it instantly. Now, if you have a lot of super glue, it can get a chalky look, a white look. That's not what that is. That's from something else, but it can turn white a little bit. You can sand it down or maybe refinish it later, but that'll speed up the process. All right, let's take a look at the drum. First of all, remember the inside, how dry it was. So it's kind of coated with oil now, which is fine. It'll dry up. And you can see like what looks like wet spots, right, like on here. But that's just letting the oil soak in where it wants to soak in, and it'll sort of dry up other places. So I'm not worried about that. Going from the bottom up, It already looks a lot better. I cleaned it up. Here's the tensioning rope. Remember I said I was going to burn that tip. So took the knot out, burned that tip, cleaned this up a little bit. Just burned that edge so it wasn't so frizzy. That one was okay. I just burned that with the lighter. Put the oil all over the shell. So now it looks way better. I cleaned up the paint that was on here. There's a couple spots with some white paint. You see how much better that looks now? So that's that. And then along here, I actually, remember this was 2 pieces. I was able to melt the ends of both of those pieces, and I just squeezed them together. Be careful when you do that. You have to wet your fingers or use a tool or something. But I squoze those. I squozened them. And now, I'm not going to totally trust it, but check it out. It's strong enough to lift the drum up. So that became a functional loop. As far as the head, the lotion I put on, and then I used the scrubby sponge with the lotion and just tried to clean up the head, and then I wiped it off with a damp cloth real quick. You don't want to leave lotion on the head a long time. It's not normal. It'll soften it up too much, but it's good for conditioning it. You can leave it on overnight if you want. I don't think this head necessarily is that receptive anymore. I'm just going to leave this. I'm not sure what is going on with this whole situation. It's an old head, and there's not really much I can do about this. I'm just going to play it until it needs a new head, and then I'll put a new head on. But that's it. It looks good. It's got a few cup stains on the head, I guess, but whatever. It's got a lot of other stuff on the head. I kind of like the very worn and played look, actually. And I'll be using this in some upcoming videos. But I hope this video has been helpful and given you some ideas about how you can at least get off to a good start with a used drum and give it a little more life and, enjoy it before you have to change the head. And by the way, changing a head is a normal part of drum ownership. So if you buy a drum with a broken head, you might get a great deal. I would recommend that if you can either change the head yourself or get somebody to do it, because frankly, when you buy a drum, you buy the shell, right? You're buying the shell. That's the main thing. Heads come and go, but just, get the shell you want and then have a head put on. And like I said, I'll play this until it needs a new head, and then I'll put another one on. All right. Thanks, you guys. If you like this video, if you got something out of it, please like, subscribe, hit the bell, and we'll see you in another video.